Okay, shall we start? Let them join others. Yeah. In module 1, actually, in module 1, we had the topic mathematical logic 1. Okay, in continuation with that, today's topic is mathematic logic 2. In mathematic logic 1 only, we have seen these things, what I have mentioned in the slide. Just take through this. One is proportions. So, proportion, we all discussed about logical connectivities, truth table, and logical equivalence, logical implications, and rule of inference. These are all the topics we discussed in mathematical logic 1 of module 1. Okay, today the topic what we are going to see is mathematical logic 2. Okay, yes, mathematical logic 1 we already completed, even you have given the test also in that internal test. Now this is mathematical logic 2. So mathematical logic 2 is also called as predicate logic and quantifiers. Okay, predicate logic and quantifiers. In this we are going to see about quantifiers, what the quantifiers, how the quantifiers will be used to determine the some open statements. Okay, yeah, already we have these kind of open statements in predicate logic and also in this rules of inference. Okay, by using the rules of inference and laws of logic here, in this topic also you need the laws of logic and rules of inference, what we have done in module 1 also. Okay, now this is uh, the topic about predicate logic. Okay, here what I'm going to tell you, the one how the introduction, first the introduction part, and what are all the proportional functions, what is called argument in proportional function. Here the statement is called as proportional function, so that I'm going to have the statement as p of x. Okay, we'll see one by one, we'll see. There we'll use some universe of discourse. Okay, I'm going to see what is the quantifier we are going to use in this. Then here we have the quantifier. Okay, definitions and some what is the mixing quantifier and how you can negation of the quantifiers. First we'll be seeing how you can use the quantifier and mix of quantifier. Mix of quantifier means two quantifiers will be there. So how you can use the two quantifier in a single statement, and negating them means how you are going to negate the statements by using the two quantifiers. Okay, for all the quantifiers I will let you know. Yes. Okay, then we'll have some logic programming and also how you can transcript this statement, the logic statement, into the English and from English to, that is all called symbolic form and inference form. Okay, some exercises also we are going to see. Yes, now I think you can able to see here what is the introduction will be. So here we have the statement. So this is the, hereafter I'm going to say this is a statement, not a conditional. So x greater than 3, x equal to y plus 3. So this can be a first statement, second statement, and third statement, so that I have some set of statements here. So what we are going to do in this exercise, using this predicate logic and mathematical induction, I'm going to explain you whether what all the statement given here will be true or false. Okay, will be true or false. How you can say well, this statement is true or false? This statement can be true for some value, and either the statement can be false for some other value. So here I can have, I'll give you the example. Here x greater than 3. Okay, if I give x equal to 1 more, that is greater than 3 value, then this statement can be true. If I use x equal to 1, then this statement can be false. Yes, sir, you agree this? Yes. So based on the variables what I'm going to assign for the variable, or you can say argument, then we can call it as the statement is true or false, or you can say the statement is valid or invalid. Okay, that's what we are going to explain today by using quantifiers. So based on this variable, I can say the variable as pre-variable and bound variable. Okay, some it is related to some condition, then I can say it's a bound variable. If doesn't relate to any conditions, okay, then I can say that is a free variable. Yes, got it. Now I have another term called predicate. What is predicate? A predicate is a property that affirm or denied about the subject. Okay, I can say it's a variable or a argument. So here I can say x is a predicate and x is a variable. So here I have the statement called x is greater than 3. What is it? X is greater than 3. So x is greater than 3 means x is a variable or argument I can have here. So what the value I am going to assign for this x will make sense that whether the statement is true or false. Got it? So here x is a subject, is greater than 3 is a predicate. Got it? What is subject, what is argument and what is variable? What will be the predicate? Okay. So I can say this can be the predicate. So or means what is universal value. So what the value I am assigning here? See here, if I assign x equal to 3, then I can say whether this is true. So if I assign 1 is greater than 3. Is it? No. So that I can say this statement is false. Yes, so that now we have some proportional functions also. So function means statement, what I have given here is statement. So based on the proportion, I am going to give the function, then that is called a proportional function. So P of x is a statement. So I can write P of x. Here I can write the P of x as x is greater than 3. Okay, or otherwise I can have x greater than 3. So this is called P of x. So P is a predicate, or you can say it's a proportional function where x is an argument. Okay, simply just follow what the instruction I'm giving over here. Then you can go for the exercise. Okay, so here some examples we have. What are all the examples? First one, x, first father of x. So x I can give here if I give Anil. So if x instead of Anil, you have to give the father of Anil. Okay, so this is you. If I use only one variable, then the predicate is called unary predicate. If I use more than one variable called x and y, then I can call it as a binary predicate. So as usual, if there is three variable, I can say that is a ternary predicate. It's all we are going to see: unary predicate, binary and ternary predicate. So if more than that, I can call it as a n-ary predicate. Mostly we'll be going to see only these two, unary and binary. Yes? Okay. Shall I move? Shall I continue? Can you able to follow? Yes? Am I audible first? Just follow. Then you can understand what I am trying to tell you and how we can going to define whether the statement is valid or not. Okay. Yes. Now I'll go for the main thing called quantifiers. So far I told you what is free variable, what is bound variable, and predicate, argument, statement. And one more, any other term I have left? Okay, these are all the things we see so far. Now what is this quantifier? How, whether if any statements you are giving, in that statement you will exist the word called all, some, many, none, few. Okay, all of you come to my cabin. So this quantifiers we always use in statement, so that based on the quantifiers we have, based on these English words, we are going to define the quantifiers in two things. One is called universal quantifier, another one is called extensional quantifier. Got it? Universal quantifier and extensional quantifier. Now I am going to define and differentiate what will be the universal quantifier and what is the extensional quantifier. Here I have a predicate is true for every element under some condition, then I call it as the universal quantifier. I can say, simply I can say this all. Okay, all will come in universal quantifier, and some, okay, some will come in the Existential quantifier. A predicate is true for there is one. So for every element, if I have x, okay, x is equal to, I have 1 comma 2. X is a set, I have 1 comma 2. Now I'm going to see x less than or equal to 3. This is the statement. Yes, for all the values, or I can say for every value in set x, I can say this statement is true. Got it? Yes. Okay. So x 1 comma 2, 1 is less than 3, 2 is less than 3. So I can say this is the universal. So where I can use the word for every element, or I can say for all the elements in x, this statement can be true. Yes or no? The same way here I have a predicate. So if I have the set called 5, I can include some more elements in the same set x, 1, 2, 3. So this statement cannot be true for all or for every element. This statement can be true for only the element, sorry, only the 1 and 2. Okay, so that here I can say the statement, a predicate is a predicate. What is the predicate? This is the predicate P of x. This is the predicate. So this predicate is true for one or more elements under some consideration. Yes, not for all the elements. That's why here I can use some. Okay. So that is what this quantifier. First quantifier is called universal quantifier. Another one quantifier is called which one? Existential quantifier. Got it? Simply these things you have to keep in your mind. There is two things. One is universal quantifier. Another one is existential quantifier. These two will have the words, keywords called all, for all and some. Now we'll see what the symbol I am going to use to mention this quantifier. Okay. Yes. So this is the symbol I am going to use for all. This is always called as for all, or you can say for every. Okay, not for some. So this is a universal quantifier I will be using for the mentioning the quantifier. Okay, so here I have the P of x. What is P of x? P of x is the predicate. Okay, so here I am using a symbolic form of this statement. P of x for all values of x in the domain. So how I can read this? For every value in x, or you can say for every value of x, P of x is true. Okay, if I write like this, it is for all x, P of x means, so this P of x, it can be any statement, it can be any proportion function. Okay, so this can be true for all the values in x. For all the values of x, it can be true. So that how you can read, for all x, P of x is true, or for all, every x, P of x is true. This can be read like this. If you know how to read this, then you can form the statement for the exercise. This is very important, how to write the statement for the given English statement. Okay. So here this is symbolic form, or you can say this can be a inference statement. Yes. So this is the statement, or you can say argument. For this I am giving the exact, or you can say equivalent symbolic form. Okay. Yes. So remaining we'll see later. We'll go first one, universal quantifier. What is the symbol I am using for universal quantifier? This is the symbol. How I am mentioning for all x. This is, you can say, for every value of x. Up to this, what you have to say, for every value of x, P of x is true. Clear? This is extensional. What is the another quantifier we have? Extensional quantification or quantifier. Okay, so the symbol you are using for this is extensional quantifier. Yes, got it. Now we have the statement. So there you used for every or for all. Now here I can use some, or otherwise there exists. So what is this? How I can read this? So see the difference between these two, this one and these two. Same thing, I'm using the same predicate. There exists an element x in the domain such that P of x is true. Okay, otherwise simply you can say for some value x, this is some. Okay, for some value x, value of x or value x, P of x is true. That's it. Okay. Yes. So this is for some value x, the P of x is true as we seen in this example. So x is 3, this is for all, and I added some more value so that I can say for some value 1, 2, this can be true. So the same thing I can return in this form of inference form, or I can say symbolic form. Yes, which symbol you are using here for extension quantifier? This is the symbol we'll be using for the extension quantifier. So the same you can read it for at least one, for some, or you can say there is an x such that P of x will be true for some value. Yes. Okay, the same thing I explained here, the same predicate I'm using. Yeah, when we use assign a values, this one I explained already. Just observe two quantifiers. One is called universal quantifier. Another one is called extension quantifier. The proposition is true for all possible values in the universe of disclosure. Universe of disclosure is nothing. What are the value exists in the set? What are the value you can have? So if I have 1 to 10 for x, then that can be considered as a universe of discourse. Okay. Then the proposition is true for some value in the universe of discourse. Got it? Yes. I think you can able to follow two quantifiers, extension quantifier, another one is called universal quantifier, how to write the universal and extension quantifier, and which symbol you are using, and how to read it. How to read it, it's very important. So this can be read as for some value of x, P of x is true. Here, for every value of x, P of x is true. Yes, and I gave you the example to understand what I am telling over here. That is x less than 3. So same way you can have some other predicate also, like x plus y equal to x plus y equal to 5. This is another P of x, proportion x. Okay, so I can have 2, 3 is, so then I can have the statement is true. So for some, for this u 2 and 3 only there in set, then I can say this is a which one, which quantifier, universal quantifier. So for this 2 and 3, this is true. If I have some 7 and 4, then I can say this is false. Yes. Okay. Now here I have let P of x. X must be takes a discrete mathematics course. So what is this? This is what the predicate. Okay. So here what I have x is less than, or you can say x is greater than 3. So here x must take a discrete mathematics. So I can say here CSE student must take a discrete mathematics course. So x. So for x, the value of x, I can use CSE, EEE, and all other courses. So here I can say for all, or I can say there exists, or you can say some. So now I have some set of statement to express the given P of x. Every CS student must take a discrete mathematics course. Every CN students must take discrete mathematics course. Just see how I'm mentioning here. Every means you know which symbol I'm going to use, which you quantifier. Universal, which quantifier? Which quantifier it is? Can anyone say which quantifier it is? This one? Guys, are you listening? Then answer the question. Yes. So this is the statement given here. I'm going to express this in a symbolic form. So here what I have, for all, that is for every CS student must take a discrete mathematics course. Okay, here what it is actually, here I have P of x and Q of x, both two predicate. Okay, two predicate. So first, what is the first predicate? P of x, that is x must, this is the given value. P of x, x must take a discrete mathematics. Then what is Q of x? Another predicate q of x. So if I have two predicate, one is p of x, another can be q of x. Okay, so q of x, x is a CSE student. So you have these two. Now, based on this, every CSE student must take a discrete mathematics course. That means if he is a CSE student, then he should. If then statement, you know, this you have already seen in laws of logic. This is P implies Q. P implies Q means what? If P is true, then Q. So what it means here, Q of X. Why? The statement is like that. Every CSE student. So for every, I added this. CSE student is Q of X. So I have Q of X here. If he is a Q of X, that is CSE student, he should take a which one? Discrete mathematics course. That's what I mentioned here. Okay. Now read out the second one. Read out the second one. Everybody must take a discrete mathematics course, or I'm using or so that I will be using this symbol. Be a CSE student. Okay. Let's see the answer. So what is it? So everybody. So here everybody means which quantifier? Universal quantifier for all the value of x. So it can be any student's name. Okay, for all the students of x, they have to take first one, and first means they will be the discrete mathematics course and they will be the student of CSE. So this is the one statement. Okay. Yes, this is actually a university question, you know. They ask you the question, express the statement in the symbolic form. They will give you 1, 2, 3. So 3, every question will have 2 marks. Okay, the thing what you have to answer, only this is the answer you have to write over here. So then you will be get 2 marks in it. So here everybody must take, just think, everybody must take discrete mathematics course and be a CSE student. So the same thing will become, same symbolic form will come over here, except the only one symbol. What it is? What the symbol can change over here? Can anyone answer? Yes? Or shall I pick somebody to answer? Yes, and symbol. Good. We are going to use the and symbol. Got it? So this is the way. If you know how to express the given statement into symbolic form, then it's very easy to solve the problems where you are going to give whether the statement is true or that is valid or invalid. Okay. I think up to this, you all are very clear how the quantifier can be used for the given statement. So, okay. So if they given this, actually they won't give the what is P of x, Q of x. You have to form what is P of and Q of x. Otherwise, sometimes they will give, then you can do. So you have to split the statement. So here the statement is two statements, so that I can say the mingle. I told you in the beginning itself, what is that? You can have two statements. So then I can have this is Q. Don't think that x and y. The predicate is different. Value is same. Okay. So what is the first step you have to do? You have to find out what is P of x, what is Q of x. Based on that only you can write this. Yes. Now we have the third step. So first step, what is the first step? You have to identify the predicate, form the predicate, and give the symbolic form. The third step is here, just see, or these statements are true or false. Or these statements are true or false, we have to give. Okay, that we'll see. That we'll see in the next slide. Okay. So here, some examples. Just go through these examples. For every x and every y, x plus y is greater than 10. So this is the statement. Now what you have to see, you have to express this statement into symbolic form. For that, first what you have to do, you have to give the predicate. Okay, now here, so far we have seen the predicate which has only one variable, x, or I can say q of x. So only one predicate. This is first example. Here I'm having two variables x comma y. Okay, so the quantifier, two quantifier as two quantifier, there we can have two variables also. Okay, yes. So now I have p of x be the statement. What is the p of x? P of x I can have x plus y greater than 10. Where the universal disclosure, I can have some set of integers. Okay, I can have a set of integers called or. So then 1 to n, something I can have, no problem. Then now what is the thing? You have to express this statement. Just see, express the statement. So for all x and for all y, it means for every value of x and y, or otherwise you can say for every value of x and for every value of y, this predicate p of x comma y is true. Okay. Yes, so that I can have any other value. So 10 means 5 plus 5. Okay, or otherwise I can have 6 plus 4, otherwise 7 comma 3. So any value. So for all the value, if the statement is true, I can say the statement is a valid statement. Got it? Yes, first you know how to give the statement for the single variable. This is about two variable. Don't bother much about this two variable. Okay, just see this one variable, then we go for, later we go for two variables also. You can consider this as a just introduction for this two variables. Yes, good. Yes, leave it. Now this will be the truth table. Always when the predicate calculus is given, there will be a truth table like when this statement can be true and when it can be false. Okay, now I have, how you can read this? Can anyone read out? Or can anyone type? For every value of x, p of x is true. So that p of x is true for every x. That's what. Okay. The way you are reading, the same way you have to write the true statement. So the false statement can be the contradiction of this true statement. Okay. The same way you can write for there is an x. Okay, there is an x for which the p can be true, not for all the values of x. Okay, so for some value the p of x can be true. Like if I have x equal to 10, so this can be a statement. Then what I can have? I can have only 10. So I can say there is an x. So x can be only one, not for all the value it can be true. So this is the statement. So here I can say this is for some value x, the p of x, this statement, this is a p of x proportion can be true. Okay, yes. So yes, as I mentioned, this is called mixing of quantifier. So mixing of quantifier is different from two variables. Okay, now I have the quantifier two mixing. See here, two quantifier I can have in a one statement. That is called mixing quantifier. Here I have two quantifier. One is for all and also for some. So two quantifier I can use. Yes. We'll see the examples. With the examples, you can understand what it is. So mixing of quantifier. See here, for all, for some. So just you read this statement. Everybody loves somebody. Okay, then you cannot give this statement using only one quantifier, or you can using only one variable. So that you need two quantifier and two variable. Got it? So this is everybody. X can be everybody. It loves x of y. So that is somebody. Yes, everybody loves somebody. Okay. So if two quantifiers is there and two variables, then there can be a four combinations of statement. Yes, obviously. So two quantifier and two variables, then we can have a four set of quantifiers. Okay. Yes. These are all the thing. I will upload this document to you in ByGuard. Actually, we uploaded already the documents in ByGuard. You can go through this. But today or tomorrow, we'll upload the assignment questions also. Okay. Yes. Now, this is binding variable. Beginning itself, I told you what is bound variable and what is free variable. When a quantifier is used on a variable x, we can say that is a bound variable. If no quantifier is used on a variable, so it's free. Okay, we are not restricting for some, for all. So no restriction is there for any variable, sorry, any quantifier, then we can call it as a free variable. Okay, here you can see here both x and y are bounded. Yes, here. See, x and y both having the quantifier, even though it's a different quantifier, we can call it as a bound variable. Which are all the bound variable? X and y. Come to the second example. Here I am using the quantifier only for x, not for y. So that I can say here x is a bound and y is free. Got it? Yes. X is bound and y is free. Yes, can you understand what I'm trying to tell you? So what is bound variable? What is free variable? From the statement, you have to identify. If quantifier, if it is prefixed by the quantifier, then we can call that statement, that variable is a bound variable. If it is not, then we can call it as a free variable. So a statement is called well-formed formula when all the variables are properly quantified. Okay. Yes. So this is the one thing I want to tell you today. Then we'll conclude the class. Now the negation. Okay, any statement. So that's a very important question. They will be giving you some set of statement. From that statement, they will be asking you to negate the given statement. So for that, we need some lemma. Okay, we cannot do that as it is. This is called rule, I think rule 4. Okay, rule 1 and 2 and 3 I will tell you. So this is rule 4. So P of x is a quantified statement. We have some quantified statement, or you can say quantified expressions. So by using them, we are going to negate that. Okay, negation of, So if P is a statement, what is the negation? This is the negation. The same way, we are going to give the statement for proposition also. So let P of x be a predicate. Then the following hold. What is this first one? So this is the thing. You know how to read this. For every value of x, P of x is true. So I am going to negate this. The negation rule is nothing. So what the quantifier we have? Here, universal quantifier. Instead of universal quantifier, you have to give. So what I am saying here, for all the value, it will be true. If negation means no, it's not for all the value. I have to give, this is for some value. So you have to remove this. From here, it will be changed to another quantifier. This negation will come inside. That's it. Here, this is rule 4. You can call it as a negation of the proposition. Okay. So the same way you can do for the another quantifier called extensional quantifier. What is the extensional quantifier here? For some value of x, P of x can be true. So the negation can be for all the values, the P of x is not true. So this is, so the negation will come inside and quantifier change. This is called rule 4 and also called as the negation of the proposition. Yes, so actually this is little bit similar to the, this is essentially the quantified version of the De Morgan's law, which we were using in the predicate logic. Yes, this is very important. Just wrote down this. By using this only, we are going to see whether the statement is valid or not. Yes. Okay. So now the truth value of the negation quantifier can be, write this. Okay, leave it, no problem. And we'll go for the, yes, wait. I think up to this you are clear in what all the topics I have given here. See, this is only thing I want to tell you. Later we can see the remaining. Now, here the statement. So, before going to this, see whether the statement is valid or not. I want to end with the class with these four conditions. One is rule US, rule ES. What first rule? Rule 4 I have already given, that is rule of negation. Okay, after that we have another four rules, that is called rule US, that is universal specification, and rule ES, that is called extensional specification, and rule UG, universal generalization and extensional generalization. After knowing these rules only, you can able to conclude whether the given statement is valid or not. Okay. Now, what is the universal specification? If an open statement P of x, you have some P of x is known to be true for all x, then the universal quantifier may be dropped. So universal specification means you are dropping the quantifier. In negation, you are just changing the quantifier. Instead of one quantifier, you are having one more quantifier. Now this universal specification, what you are going to do, if any statement is there with, like, here I cannot write, I think. So for all x, P of x is there. Instead of that, I am going to use some variable. I am introducing some variable called A. Okay, so here dropping the quantifier. So whenever I say universal specification, you have to drop the quantifier. Which quantifier? Universal quantifier. Okay, so I can have only P of x, no quantifier. So that is called universal quantifier. Extensional quantifier, same way. See here I have, this is the statement. So instead of this, I am going to have this P of B. So what it means? I am leaving, that is I am dropping the quantifier. Why? Is assumed to be true, because it's a true, then extensional object B, some other object B, it will be true. So that this is called dropping the quantifier, is called extensional specification and also universal classification. If the value, any premises is in the form of PB, then from year 2 you have to convert this. You are adding the quantifier, then that rule will be called as generalization. Okay. So from this form to this form, then it is called as the specification. Otherwise, another this vice versa, you can call it as a universal generalization. So from here to this to this. Okay, having the quantifier, just simply you just keep in your mind. Having the quantifier, or you can say introducing the quantifier, is called universal generalization. Dropping the quantifier, any quantifier, is called specification. Okay, if you drop extensional quantifier, then it is called extensional specification, universal specification. Okay, these four rules are very important. But the first rule is rule of negation. You can have that first rule, no problem, because nowhere we are going to mention the rule number. We are going to mention the rule name only, so that you can have, that is the rule of negation. This is rule of ES, UG, EG and PG. Okay, sorry, EG. Yes, I think it's 4:30. Yeah, 2 minutes is there. I will continue. So here we have one more thing is called rule of inference. Rule of inference, you know already. Yes, what is rule P and rule T? We already discussed in mathematics logic 1. That's P implies Q and all. So many rules we have studied more. Rules of syllogism, rules of modus ponens and all. Okay, so the same rule I'm going to use here. Only the rule I will complete with the rule today's class. Tomorrow we'll have the statements. Okay, the rule of inference. This is very important. You can take a screenshot of these two, this one and this is. Okay, rule of inference. So if I use rule P, what is rule P? If in any statement, see here I have, here I am introducing. So here I am introducing the premises so that I can have P. I will explain this tomorrow, no issue. Here, just see, rule P. We may introduce a premises at any point in a derivation, then we call it as a rule P. Okay. Then what is rule T? We may introduce formulas. So any formula, like if I am using this is a first step 1, step 2, so that I can have Q. So you know this is rule T. We may introduce formula. So introducing premises is called rule P. introducing any formula using some steps, the previous steps, that is called rule T. We may introduce a formula S in derivation if S is tautologically implied by any one or more premises. Any one or more premises. Here we have two premises. Then we call it as a formula in derivation, that is called rule T. Rule P, rule T. Another one is rule CP. We won't use that much this. We may introduce any new premises, that is called rule of conditional proof. Some conditional proof we are applying, then it is called as rule CP. Yes. Rule US, ES, UG, EG. Having the premises, dropping the premises. Then this is about derivation, where I can give rule P if I give rule any introducing any premises and introducing any formulas. That's it. These two. Introducing premises and introducing rule. Yes, got it? So just simply I want to tell this, otherwise why we have read all this, you will forget. So that here I have some statements. This statement, lions are dangerous animals, there are lions, therefore there are dangerous animals. So that I have to give the inference for this, so that I can give L of X. That means this is a P of X, this is Q of X. So accordingly, to give meaning, I have this L. Okay, L means lion, D means dangerous. Okay, so L of X is the lion. Tomorrow one more time I will give the same. You just observe this. L of X is the lion, D of X is the dangerous animals. So based on the given statement, I just construct the predicate. Okay, this is the basic predicate we have. So no other different statement, so that I don't need any other predicate. Only two predicate is enough. So now go to this one. Lions are dangerous animals. Lions are dangerous animals. So what I have to see, for all X, okay, then lions are dangerous animals means L of X. Okay, so L of lions, L of X. Then if lion is there, then it's the dangerous animal, so that I can have it as a if then statement. So L of X implies D of X. What is the second one? There are lions. So there are lions. Okay, so I can use the quantifier called sum, or sum X, L of X. Okay, it will come by practice. Okay, how to write the inference rule, it will come by practice. So this is the first one, don't bother much. Okay, so this is the statement we have. So this is the conclusion. You know how to write the conclusion even in predicate the mathematical logic 1 also. So therefore there are dangerous animals, so that I can write this statement, or this one as for therefore there are. So there are means which quantifier? Extensional quantifier I can use. So I'm going to prove whether these two statements, these arguments gives the conclusion. So these are all the premises. Based on these premises, I'm concluding this. So if I prove this, you can know whether this statement is valid or not. So I got this last one, so that I can say this is the which one? Valid statement. Okay, I'll continue the same in the next class. This example I will continue in the next class. Okay, thank you. How many of you there? 51. Okay, thank you guys. You can leave the class now.